Once the preserve of only the rich, over recent decades, air travel has become so commonplace that up to 3 billion of us take to the skies every single year. But, you know, it's reckoned that around a quarter of us are, in varying degrees, actually afraid of flying, making British travellers the most fearful in Europe. So several of the airlines run courses that are designed to overcome the fear of flying once and for all. And to see if they actually work, we went along with a particularly nervous flyer, as she gave one of them a try. For thousands of years, humans have had a fascination with flying. And initially, at least, our attempts to get airborne had very mixed results. Though we have now got the hang of it, and plane journeys have become, statistically, the absolute safest way to travel. For many passengers, though, the very thought of flying can send them into a spin. Natalie Pearce from Oxfordshire is one. Her fear of flying began 20 years ago, over 30,000 feet in the air.
At the end of the 90s, when we were flying back from Tenerife, we experienced a bit of turbulence, and then we hit what I thought was an air pocket, where it feels like you're dropping out of the sky. Only lasted seconds, but felt like hours.
Now, even contemplating a plane journey has Natalie racked with fear and anxiety.
I think as I've got older, and probably since I've had the children, I've always thought more the safety aspect as well. If I hear any noises when I'm on the plane, I then get worried as to what they are, or that the wings aren't working properly.
Natalie's concerned that things have got so bad, it's limiting not only her view of the world, but also her children's.
It's obviously restricted where we can go to, and we probably don't go away as much as perhaps I used to. There's so much to see out there, you know, that we're not seeing because we're so limited as to where we can go and what we can do.
At present, the only way she can board an aircraft is after taking prescription medication. And even then, her fears don't disappear completely.
I've had to, in the past, take prescribed medication to enable me to get onto a plane. I have a partner that's very understanding, that allows me to grip hold of his hand very tightly, and also talk to me while we're on the flight about what's happening and to try and calm me down. So I have got slightly better with, like, say, him supporting me and talking to me, but I'm still a long way off being okay about flying.
And that's all come to a head since Natalie's father moved to Cyprus. She knows that unless she can conquer her fear of flying, she and her children are unlikely to ever visit him in his new home.
Oh, wow, look, that looks amazing, Imogen, doesn't it? I would love to go to Cyprus to see my dad, and obviously for the children to go out there and see their granddad. He moved out there 18 months ago. He still comes back here, but it'd be lovely to go, even though we've seen pictures of his place in Cyprus, it would be lovely to actually go out there and stay with them for a while.
A fear of flying, sometimes called aviophobia, can lead to a rapid heartbeat, shortness of breath, trembling, and tightening of the stomach muscles, along with an overwhelming desire to escape the situation. But though Natalie's tried various medications and alternative therapies to beat it, none have worked. So now, after years of trying to pluck up the courage, she's ready to try one of the courses that airlines run to tackle the problem head-on.
I really want to overcome my fear. I also want to know why things are making certain noises. I'd like to know sometimes what the speakers on the tannoys between the pilots and the air hostesses, because sometimes that panics me a bit. I think they're speaking in a secret code to say there's a problem with the plane. So just have a great understanding of the whole thing.
We're going to accompany Natalie on a day-long course with Virgin Atlantic, bought for her by her mother at a cost of £267. It's a last, desperate attempt to once again get herself airborne. Though the course claims a 98% success rate, there's no guarantee that it will work. And as she heads to the airport, ready to begin, all she can think of are the downsides to flying.
Getting off the plane at the end is the only thing I like. There's absolutely nothing else about flying I like at all. it can have a physical effect on me, as in I can get an upset stomach, and like I say, I get very anxious about it, and I can feel nauseous as well.
Richard Conway is the co-founder of this particular course, and he has first-hand experience of just how debilitating such fear can be.
I did have a fear of flying. My overcoming it showed me so much about how to help other people. The programme started with a need for helping nervous flyers. We wanted to do this and really change people's lives in one day, which is what we do.
Of course, a fear of flying is also bad news for airlines like Virgin, so it's in their interest to get anxious passengers back into the sky.
The latest research that we have our hands on is from 2012, and it shows at least 30% of the population have a fear of flying of some sort. And that can be from the mildly anxious to the utterly terrified, so there's a need. I have to say that our dream would be for no one to be booking on the courses.
The course is delivered in 2 parts, kicking off with a session in the classroom, and then the real deal up in the air. But even waiting to go into the classroom has pushed Natalie's anxiety levels sky high.
I'm getting a bit more anxious. I was just speaking to someone who I presume is running a bit of the course. I don't know, like, say, what part he's doing, but he was asking me about my fears and how it started, and it was just making me a bit more stressful and anxious and reiterating what my fears are. So, I don't know, we shall see.
But then the course gets underway, with the tutors trying to erase years of fear and panic.
We see between 2,000 and 3,000 people every single year.
How many of the people drove here today? How many people were passengers when they came here today? The car was serviced this morning. The engineers had looked at it and checked it over completely and signed it off. Yes? No?
All of these things that are revolved around incidents and accidents, the lessons learned are trust the systems, because the systems work.
Incidents involving aircraft are so rare, they always make headlines. So, with the tutors confident that they've helped the group rationalise their fears and understand that the risks of flying are relatively low, the classroom part of the day is over, and it's time to put into practice everything they've learnt on the ground.
I just realised quite how rational some of my fears were, but then you're only going to overcome those by having pilots or other people telling you, isn't it?
Steady as a rock. I'll fly with that hand. Yeah.
But as they head off to the aircraft, Natalie has fresh concerns about whether what she's been taught will still seem reasonable when it's time to take off.
I think I'm going to be better once I'm actually on the plane. It's just the apprehension, isn't it, of the unknown almost.
But if she can keep calm and get on board, this could be a major breakthrough.
We're waiting, we're going to go through security check in a minute to then board the plane. I just need to get onto the plane now, because we've been now talking about it this morning. I just need to go and do it now.
This is the first time in 19 years that Natalie has boarded an aircraft without the support of medication, and it's not easy.
That's perfect, that's going to be straight on board. Okay?
Thank you very much. Right, so here we go.
Alongside around 130 other fearful flyers, Natalie finally gets on board.
61G, just go straight over, turn right.
Thank you.
As she tries her best to settle in, the safety briefing begins.
So we're now going to explain the safety equipment and procedures for the 787-9 aircraft. You share responsibility with us for your safety, so please remove any headsets, pay careful attention.
And the pilots do their best to reassure their nervous passengers.
We worked out we've got 120 years worth of aviation experience between us.
Before they know it, it's time for takeoff. And once up in the air, Natalie amazes herself by managing to leave her seat. For the first time, she's beginning to get a real sense of flying without her usual nervousness.
It's true what the trainer said, because I'm not very good at heights, but actually this isn't causing me a problem looking out the window at the view. It's amazing to see all the clouds and things, and then see the view below them.
Other airlines, including British Airways and EasyJet, also run courses very similar to this one, with hundreds of people taking them every month.
Okay, we've just commenced a turn to the left-hand side there, heading down towards Southampton and the Isle of Wight.
It's 30 minutes into the flight, and Natalie's confidence is growing.
Yeah, I'm feeling quite relaxed actually, I'm not too bad.
The overall success rate on today's course was around 99%, with only one passenger not managing to take the flight. And Natalie's astonished at the difference between how she feels now and how she's felt on planes in the past.
I wouldn't say I love it, I did enjoy it, which is a major improvement.
And once she comes back down to earth, she has high hopes for the future.
I feel it's really worked. I enjoyed the flight, like I say the landing and takeoff, not as much, but they weren't as bad as I've experienced before, that's for sure.